some burnouts out here in Kessling Park. Unacceptable. This is a priority. I apologize to the community that we've got people here that don't want to enjoy and respect what makes us special.
The cash reward is $250. He says fixing the damage should be part of any punishment if an arrest and conviction is made in the case.
I think we ought to put them out this summer.
The legal stuff that's happening in the county for those issues. I do want to say there's lots of other things happening. Obviously, the attorney and the auditor have some things happening. We are not talking about that this episode. We don't want to get into personal vendettas. We don't want to do any of that. I've invited Auditor Stabos on the show. He's hopefully going to come on very soon to talk about the tax bill issue. But this is about the issues that impact you guys and me and the county, and how we can know more about them. So welcome to the show, Shaw. Glad to have you.
Thank you. Great to be with you, Nate. And one of the things, as you and I talked about my coming on, we had our good friend Phyllis Marks was at a county commission meeting this past week, had some questions about the county home. And unfortunately, the public comment section of the commissioners meeting isn't really the opportunity to get information like that out. And so you and I talked. It might be great to kind of recap what happened with the county home. You know, why what was done, and some of the other issues like the wage fraud ordinance that's up there, KIP. So we're interested in fielding questions. And again, what we do as county attorney is done at the direction and guidance of the elected officials we serve. And we can talk a little bit about the county home, why the decision was made to sell after a number of years where efforts were made to try to win tax credits from the Indiana Housing Community Development Agency. But finally, the county council and county commission said, look, this is it. We are hemorrhaging red ink in terms of trying to continue to support a county home. And just briefly, I wanted to lay out some of the background on county homes around the state if we could. What happened is that as the delivery of social services shifted, enabling poor or mentally disabled to remain in their own homes, county governments and private owners got out of the county home business. Indiana's county homes provided aid to elderly, orphan, physically or mentally disabled. But all of the state's 92 complexes had those, but many county homes have been demolished. The few that remain have been closed or sold. And so we're no different than most of the counties that were facing major problems once the state's payments, the aid to county home residents payments stopped in about 2012, 2013. Number of residents dropped. Nate, you and I talked before the show began. At one point, the county was hemorrhaging anywhere from $150,000 to $200,000 a year. And so finally a decision was made by the county council after two efforts had been made to try to land tax credits. And the private developers have told us that's about the only way to do apartments, whether it's senior housing, veterans housing. The county had hemorrhaged a $1 million figure over a 5-year period between 2011 and 2015. Ultimately, a decision was made. Let's sell it and let's follow the statutes to a T, which was done when the county home was ultimately sold.
Yeah, so I did go back because I wasn't all that familiar with what's going on. Obviously, I know the county home sold these kind of things. Sure. I remember when it sold. But I wasn't, obviously, I went back and read through HometownNewsNow.com, the Herald Argus, former Herald Argus website, these kind of things, and looked back in Northwest Indiana Times to try to follow the timeline. Went back and read the commissioners and council meeting minutes. I stayed up way too late for this. So, you know, much of this has been a conversation that's 6, 7, 8 years in the row, you know, or that's
right.
going on. In the beginning, it was decided to hopefully turn this into senior housing.
Yes.
What was the reason that it ultimately didn't become senior housing?
Well, the county made two good efforts to go after tax credits. What's required to really make something like this happen, because we've gotten estimates that developers say to fully renovate the county home for senior housing, for assisted living of any kind, it's anywhere from $8 to $10 million, because you got to make it ADA accessible. Demolition would also be expensive. Tony Hendricks and I just talked this past weekend. His estimate is that with the asbestos there, you're talking probably $1 million just to demolish. But if in terms of reuse, recycling the facility for any kind of apartment living, you got to have it fully ADA accessible, change the bathrooms and everything else. 8 to 10 million. Well, the only way to do that was to win a tax credit application with this state agency. So we applied. Commissioners directed we apply twice. We had a terrific grant writer that applied. Council was supportive for a period of time. Now, all that while, we're getting near closure because remember, the arch payment stopped from the state. So you're getting down at one point in 2011, 2012 to 5-6 residents. 2014, I think there were 3 residents left at that point. We got 10 staff at that point. So the county's losing considerable money. Supporting a facility that no longer could be supported. So we're applying, and the council and commission were both on board to apply for these tax credit grants from the state. 2 different applications were made. We came close on the second one, couldn't win it. Ultimately, the council, I think Dr. Corin, one of the commissioners, wanted to try reapplying a third time. County council said, look, we're done. We've made our best effort. We cannot continue to have this kind of hemorrhaging of red ink just supporting the facility. Let's get it back in the tax rolls. And so ultimately a decision was made. We brought in Alex Brugenschmidt, who helps and assists the county on tax sales, tax purchases. There were public hearings held in front of both the county council and the commission to authorize sale. And ultimately, sale was held, I think it was February 24th of 2020. So it was Brugenschmidt that suggested the opening bid at $50,000. And that was and ultimately that was the bid that was submitted. But no matter who took on the county home, it was relieving county taxpayers of a huge tax burden. One of our big concerns, by the way, and I want to convey this to my friend Phyllis Marks, one of the things we made sure of before we sold the county home was to get the easement over that main road into there so that we could serve the county barn next to it. I mean, we were concerned. Phyllis and others were active in the effort to save the county barns. We made sure we've got an easement in there so that we can supply, be able to access the county barns, which is next door. So we got the easement, but the 5.39 acres is what went up for sale. There were 6 different groups that the facilities director took through there, working closely with the county auditor at that time, Joey Winsky, to see that anybody who was viable, anybody who potentially had the ability could see it. So there were 6 different groups that toured through there. Ultimately, there was only one that bid, and he's the one that was able to obtain the county home.
To push back on some of that, though, one of the things that Ms. Marks did say at our commissioner meeting was that she wasn't able to get into the building. Was that the case?
Yeah, I think that she had wanted, and I get it from a sentimental standpoint, and Phyllis is a tremendous preservationist. By the way, the success at preserving the Pinhook Church, largely attributable to Phyllis Marks and some others. I think that at that point in time, she may have wanted to get in there with family or whatever just to see it, and we get that. I don't think that Larry Lewandowski, our facilities director, was able to accommodate her at the time, but from what I'm told, there were 6 different groups that were prospective bidders that were all allowed to tour the facility. But yeah, it's unfortunate if she didn't get a chance to simply see it. But Phyllis's history and reputation as a great preservationist is without question, and I can understand her desire to have seen it. I would also indicate too, for any preservationists out there, Historic Landmarks of Indiana was contacted. I mean, there were multiple efforts made by county council, county commission to try to land the funds that would allow the facility to be renovated, even usable for private developers, and we'll have to see what happens with it. I mean, JB Construction was the winning bidder. I spoke with their real estate agent just a couple days ago because I was curious about the asking price, and Larry Nickel, who represents JB Construction, says they've invested $300,000 to $400,000 in improvements since they bought the county home over 2 years ago. So I assume that helps support. And again, simply an asking price at this point. But the notion that the county home was a valuable asset that was given away just doesn't square with what happened.
All right, we've got Shaw Friedman on the show today. The Liquor Vault on-air line is 219-362-0522. You're welcome to call and ask if you have a question about the county home, or I want to talk a little bit about the sand mines here when we get back from our break. We've got a caller on the line. We're going to get to you as soon as we get back. Keep listening. We're going to take a couple-minute break, our first commercial break of the day, and we'll be back here on 96.7 The Eagle.
Ben Conowitz here, owner of LaPorte Seamless Gutter. My parents started LaPorte Seamless Gutter in 1982 with one goal in mind, really. Our customers' 100% satisfaction. And we are still providing the same customer service that Tim and Seal Conowitz started all those years ago. Give us a call today for a free estimate at 219-362-9972, or you can visit us on the web, www.lpseamless.com. 219-362-9972.
Honey, there's a guy outside our house staring at us.
Hey, can I help you? Nah, I'm just admiring how awesome your landscaping looks. Where'd you get your mulch and that river rock?
Well, thank you. It all came from Pavey Excavating and Stone Yard. They're on Ohio Street, just east of Boyd Boulevard in LaPorte.
Tempt your neighbors into admiring your property. Shop Pavey Excavating and Stone Yard for your mulch, gravel, river rock, black dirt, and landscaping needs. Pavey Excavating and Stone Yard in LaPorte. Family owned and operated. Digging the good earth since 1954.
You wouldn't take your child to just any pediatrician, would you? So why would your pet's healthcare be any different? Hello, I'm Dr. Justin LaFollette from Hero Pet Animal Hospital. We are excited to bring you a full line of small animal veterinary services to LaPorte County. We are conveniently located in Westville, across the street from McDonald's, open at 8 a.m. Monday through Saturday, and offer both walk-in and appointments. Call today, 219-515-HERO.
It's no wonder LiftMaster is the #1 professionally installed garage door opener. LiftMaster's MyQ technology alerts you if you forgot to close your garage door and lets you close it from anywhere, anytime with built-in Wi-Fi. It also has battery backup, so you can get in your garage even when the power's out.
Don't panic. MC Doors same-day service is here for you. Go to mcdoors.com. That's right, mcdoors.com.
You know, with so many things going on around the area, it's really hard to keep up with this and that, and where is it all taking place? Especially when the weekend arrives and, hey, you're looking for something to do and all of a sudden, you forgot. Well, not anymore. Let us introduce you to the Weekend Entertainment Guide. Heard every Thursday and Friday here on 96.7 The Eagle. We'll list your nonprofit event on the air for everyone to hear. Also, we'll list it on our website at hometownnewsnow.com for others to see. Just visit hometownnewsnow.com, click on the Submit tab, and fill out the form and contact us for payment as we take credit or debit cards. It's the Weekend Entertainment Guide every Thursday and Friday here on your station for country music variety, 96.7 The Eagle. And don't forget to visit our website at hometownnewsnow.com. It's the Weekend Entertainment Guide on 96.7 The Eagle and at hometownnewsnow.com.
Dave, you guys built a new deck.
Oh yeah, it was easy.
It's on a bit of a slant, but I can live with that.
Yeah, you think? I thought it looked pretty good.
I don't think that railing's up to code either. So, are we just going to stand here, or can we actually go on it?
Oh no, I don't trust it enough to actually go on it.
No offense to Dave, but if you want the job done right, contact Powerhouse Construction in LaPorte. Decks, patios, or kitchen and bath remodels, Powerhouse Construction will ensure your satisfaction. Call 219-380-9981 to book a free estimate. That's 219-380-9981. Powerhouse Construction.
We're waiting to hear from you. Dial or text 362-0522 and let us know what you think. That's 362-0522. Back to Sound Off on 96.7 The Eagle.
Welcome back, friends. It's good to have you here. We've got Shaw Friedman on the show, and we're talking about different county issues, like the county home. If you have a question about what's going on there, I want to get into the sand mine issue, get an update on that, especially legally, because I know some of these things can get into the legal weeds a little bit. If you have a question, 219-362-0522. I'm sure we'd be happy to ask that. Liquor Vault Liquor Vault on air line is 219-362-0522. You can also email me at soundoff@967theeagle.com. Let's get to our first caller. Hello, welcome to the show. Thanks so much for calling. What's your question?
Thank you, Mr. Friedman, for coming on today. This is Steve Hollifield.
Hey, how you doing today?
My question concerns... Good, sir. Hey, my question does concern the county home.
Mm-hmm.
As someone who goes to a lot of land auctions, farm auctions, other auctions, why was no effort made, or if not, it was not publicly made, to list that home through a private real estate company who specializes in those types of properties, so it could have been online nationwide, or use of an auction service? Because all the auction services I've ever been to, at the end, at the bottom of any ticket you get or number you get.
Right.
The seller has the right of last refusal. So why was so much effort put into keep it within control of the county instead of finding someone that specialized in that property to get out and make more money for us? Thank you.
Yeah, no,
Thanks for calling.
I appreciate that. I mean, the folks have a right to ask the questions about the process that was used. Everything that was used followed Indiana statute. I mean, what we did was this, Steve. We brought in Alex Brugenschmidt, who is an attorney down in Zionsville, who specializes both in tax sales, property acquisitions, and he advised on a process that was used because it requires hearings in front of both the county commission, the county council, it was pretty widely publicized. I mean, the notice that was done, the sale was ultimately on February 24th, 2020. It just candidly, it is so much of a burden to try to renovate that home. It is not as if there was much interest in the private sector. That was one of the reasons we went after the tax credits, because all the developers told us, look, you want us interested in renovating the county home, whether it's for senior housing, veterans housing, you have to win these tax credits applications. And so that's why we submitted twice. But candidly, there were 6 different entities who toured the home. Many of them didn't want to touch it after that. I mean, it's got major problems with it. You've got the asbestos. You've got ADA issues. It's going to take a significant amount to try to properly renovate it. We were delighted, to be honest with you, when there was a contractor, a locally known contractor, to take it on. Now, what Larry Nickel, who is the agent, the listing agent for JB, has said to me is that they've invested $300,000 to $400,000 in the house since they bought it. So hopefully to make it more marketable. I think their hope is ultimately make it into a conference center, some sort of a destination that way. But it's going to take a significant amount of private sector money, and it is not as if they were beating down the doors to buy it. And I'll be honest with you, you look around the state at county homes, most of them have been demolished. Very few have been reused, mainly because of the sheer costs, the prohibitive cost to try to renovate some of these larger structures to make them usable. We went after veterans funding. We were hoping to ultimately get tax credits to support maybe 10 units for veterans. The commissioners and the council did everything they could before finally saying, okay, that's it. Dr. Cord wanted to make one final. He says, look, third time's a charm. Let's go after the tax credits one more time. Council said, no, enough is enough. Let's get it sold. Let's get it out from underneath so the taxpayers are no longer bearing the cost of the place. And that's how it came down.
I think, though, on the surface, and again, I think a lot of people, that makes sense. But what doesn't feel right anyway is it was sold for $50,000 in February of 2020,
right?
And now it's on the market for $800,000 or $900,000, right? So was it worth $800,000 or $900,000 then? You know, I mean, that's the I think that's the disconnect.
I got you. That's a fair question. We couldn't have even listed it for just $50,000 had there been appraisals listing it at $800,000. The appraisals at that time, there were 2. One was at $60,000. I think the other was at $120,000. And so what Brugenschmidt, who has done a ton of tax sales and property sales, says, look, set it at a reasonable level. Hopefully you can entice somebody to come in. But for whoever is going to buy it, that $50,000 is nothing compared to what they're going to have to invest to properly renovate it, make it ADA accessible, deal with the asbestos issues inside and everything else. And so, and just because somebody's listing it, as you know, at $850 doesn't mean it's actually worth that at this point. Now, what Mr. Nickel has told me, who is the agent for JB Construction, is that they have invested $300,000 to $400,000 in improvements since they bought it. So that would also support a little higher asking price, but making the ask and actually making the sale are 2 different things. So again, I would strongly suggest that you look at and I'll tell you what, and I said that to Justin Kill, the Regional News. Anybody who wants to look at the file I've got, which is about 4 inches thick, either former appraisals or anything else, we're more than happy to share that with anyone. This thing was done by the letter. Yes, would it have been nice to have attracted a greater interest? But Mr. Lewandowski, our facilities director, gave tours to 6 different groups. Only one of them ended up bidding. So we were very fortunate, we think, to have finally attracted private sector. We get it onto the tax rolls again. and it's no longer a burden to taxpayers. So that's the counter argument, and hopefully it helps ease some of the concerns. One of the things we were very concerned about was making sure that we had easement so that we had the county barns preserved and saved. The Save the Barns Committee has lovingly worked to preserve and keep that county barns. Would we all? Look, I'm a preservationist as well. Would we love to see the county home ultimately preserved and renovated? Yes. But sometimes the finances just don't permit it, and I think that's the reason you've seen most of the county homes across the state in the 92 counties demolished over time. Very few have been renovated or reused for any kind of housing.
All right, let's get to another caller. Hey, thanks so much for listening to the show. Thanks for calling. What's your question for County Attorney Shaw Friedman?
Yes, Mr. Friedman, for a long time I've hoped that you would come on this format so that I could just express my appreciation and thanks to your people. Your radio ad says that if you don't function in that particular issue, that you would refer me to someone who does.
Yes.
And I'll tell you what, your people put me in contact with a young, capable, and very knowledgeable attorney. And I've been so thankful. He's handled 2 issues for me
That's nice
since that time. Yeah. So I just want, again, all I'm calling in for is just say thank you, Mr. Friedman. You lived up to to your word on that radio promo.
Well, I really appreciate that. And one of the things we've tried to do over the years as county attorney or even in private practice, know what you don't do. There are a lot of folks out there who, for instance, that's why I brought in Alex Brugenschmidt on tax sales. And tax conveyances, property conveyances. You got to know what you do and do well and the things that you don't. And so we try to refer off if it's something that we can't handle. We do that. I've brought in expertise. I mean, whether it's the NIPSCO cases, the rate cases, I brought in a co-counsel to work on those. Whether it is other types of things, that we're directed by the commissioners to work on. I try to bring in folks as co-counsel who are expert in their areas. Give you a good example, the class action case that we won involving the Dempsey class action case that was brought against the county. That would have meant millions in a determination against the county had we lost it. Well, I don't do a specialized in class action. I brought in a firm out of Indianapolis that helped us defeat that. I think that you're going to find that hopefully we as attorneys know what we don't do and can refer off, and I appreciate the comments on that. That's important to hear. And I told Dennis and Nate we'd like to get back on every so often, just like we used to do. We had the Ask the County Attorney show several years ago, and it'd be great to be able to do that again, because there are always issues of concern that are sometimes very difficult to remind folks of what's been done. By the way, it just hit me as well. As regard to county home, as I recall, County Commissioner Rich Mrozinski brought in 2 veterans groups to see if there might be some opportunity to bid or participate in the county home. I mean, Congresswoman Walorski's office was enlisted. I can't tell you the effort that was made to try to enlist different groups in terms of grants, funding, assistance, and so I do think that a great effort was made by a number of different people to see if there was not some way we couldn't potentially renovate the home.
All right. Well, we've got County Attorney Shaw Friedman on the show today. The Liquor Vault on-air line is 219-362-0522. You're welcome to call us or email me at soundoff@967theeagle.com. We're going to take our final break of the day, and then we're going to get back to more callers and questions as soon as we get back. Thanks for listening to 96.7 The Eagle.
For over 50 years, LaPorte has trusted Cannon's Automotive Service for prompt, efficient, same-day service. And that same Cannon's commitment extends to area businesses who rely on a fleet of 1 or many to take your goods or service to the customer. Whether it's the truck or trailer that needs maintained or fixed, trust Cannon's Automotive to maximize your productivity with same-day service. Now with 2 Cannon's locations, 710 Tyler Street and 909 Boyd Boulevard.
With Cannon's Automotive, we fix everything.
Since 1922, Hamilton Grove has been dedicated to providing the highest quality housing and care for older adults. Hamilton Grove Assisted Living has studio and 1-bedroom maintenance-free apartments that offer assistance with daily independent living. They also accept the Medicaid waiver. Hamilton Grove is a religious-based, non-for-profit, handicap-accessible, and equal housing opportunity partner. Call them for your personal tour, 574-654-2250. Live here for the best of your life.
Hey, who's hungry? Because I've got a deal for you. Dennis Adele here to introduce you something new to the Morning Mayhem. Every weekday at 6:55, it's Denny's Diner. Yep, Joe and I will cook up some trivia questions, and if you have the correct answer, you'll be the winner of a $20 gift card from either JJ's Sideout Bar and Grill, the Burger Bar and Grill, JJ's Pizza Shack, Wanna Pizza, or Nowhere Bar and Grill. So join us weekdays for Denny's Diner at 6:55 on the Morning Mayhem for your chance to win here on 96.7 The Eagle.
Michiana weather.
Mainly clear this afternoon with a high of 76. Southeast winds 20 to 25 miles per hour. Lows dip down to about 61 tonight. High of 83 tomorrow. From the Weather Center at HometownNewsNow.com. Right now, 73.
Thank you for tuning in to Sound Off. You can now text or email your questions directly to the studio. Call or text 362-0522 or email your questions to soundoff@967theeagle.com. This is Sound Off.
Welcome back to our final segment of Sound Off today. We've got County Attorney Shaw Friedman on the show. If you've got a question, 219-362-0522, or you can again email me at soundoff@967theeagle.com, and I'd I'd love to ask the question. Here's the question. I'll ask it for you. Can you ask Mr. Friedman, are the taxpayers being charged for you to be on the radio today?
Okay, well, that's a fair question, and absolutely not. And in fact, one of the responsibilities of the county attorney is to handle all kinds of media inquiries. You can't bill a penny for that, or you shouldn't. And so we never have and I think I've been county attorney 26 of the last 38 years, never billed a penny to talk to a media person, whether here or anywhere else. But
I want to talk a little bit, too, about the sand mining, because as I was going back in the stories, looking at the county home, and again, I understand why people are confused about what's going on with the county home. The stories go back years and years and years.
Yes.
This is not something that just happened. But, I almost always, in a report on the commissioner of the council, at that time was also people complaining about an illegal or an illicit sand mine that they viewed to be on, I think, Schultz Road, is it?
Yes.
And the county has gone back and forth between shutting it down, allowing it, these kind of things, and I know it gets into some legal weird territory. Can you explain to our listeners a little bit about what's going on there and where it's at now?
Sure. Well, and the stop work order that was signed by County Commission President Matias applies to two locations, both the sand removal area on Schultz Road and 400 West, and then the Versailles location on 1000 North. And I'm pleased to tell you, but the stop work order is holding to this point. We are certainly prepared to continue to do what we have to enforce it. I'm also pleased that the neighbors out on 1000 North have hired one of the leading environmental law firms in the state, Plews Shadley, to assist the county and back up the county stop work order, and we've been working closely with them. The issue with both locations is the MS4 permit, the stormwater permit. Our beef with the permit, the commissioner's beef with the permit, is that the stated use, what you have to do with a stormwater permit or a construction permit, is list the construction. And what Commissioner Matias has said is, look, land contouring and tree clearing are not construction projects, and those are the only two MS4 permits that list that as construction. And so, as the general MS4 permit holder, she has said, no, that doesn't qualify. I'm going to stop work until and unless such time as you submit a proper MS4 application listing what is the intended construction. Sand removal in and of itself can't be the intended construction. There's got to be something that are you putting up a residence out there? Are you doing a commercial project? Have you gotten zoning clearances? All those questions are appropriate to ask. That's why Commissioner Matias imposed the stop work order, much to the relief of neighbors in both locations here about 3.5 weeks ago. And county is fully prepared to stand behind that stop work order. Now, we've had, as you mentioned, Nate, there were two prior stop work orders, one in 2019 that we secured with the BZA at the D&M site, one in 2020 that involved an IDEM permit. This one, we believe, based on the wording of the MS4 permits, gives us the best opportunity to say, no, you're going to stop work until you can define specifically what is the project that you're doing. Land contouring is not a construction project, neither is tree clearing. So that's what has happened with both locations.
All right, we've got another caller here. Hey, thanks so much for calling and listening to the show. What's your question for Shaw Friedman?
Mr. Friedman, I'm wondering, why are you the one talking about these issues? Aren't the commissioners the policy figures of LaPorte County?
Yes.
Shouldn't it be a commissioner that's being interviewed right now?
Well, the commissioners are the ones that direct us to do different things. We do the legal involved, and so there are oftentimes legal questions that come up. And so, yeah, we're making ourselves available to do that. But I would also emphasize, too, it's important to know that everything we do is at the direction of the commissioners. They're the elected officials. And I'll give you a good example. The brand new Rolling Prairie EMS base. I get a call from County Commissioner Rich Mrozinski, and I think it was EMS paramedic Rip Ludlow some time ago, saying, hey, what about going after that parcel out there, the old Sauk Trail Rest Park? Let's see if we can't go after that. And so then I'm directed by the commissioners to go ahead, undertake negotiations, try to get something done, but it was at the direction of a commissioner at that point. And I'm pleased to tell you, we were able to get the Rolling Prairie, that Sauk Trail, that parcel out there for the new Rolling Prairie EMS facility. Same thing with KIP. I get a call 2 years ago, I think it was Commissioner Matias, who has not only been committed to broadband development, but also to economic development, job creation. She says, look, I know you got a good relationship with Jim Schellinger, who heads IEDC. We're in the hunt for a grant. Will you go after it and see what you can do to land the grant? And I'm pleased to tell you we landed $1 million grant out there because of the ongoing relationship with Jim Schellinger to do full connectivity and job creation out of KIP. So everything we do is at the direction of the elected officials. Another good example. I get a call from Randy Novak, County Council President. He says, look, I know you have a good working relationship with the president of LaPorte Hospital. What can you do about getting us a location for COVID clinic? I go ahead then negotiate with the head of LaPorte Hospital to get us rent-free use of LaPorte Hospital's lobby for COVID testing. I get a call from the county clerk. County clerk says, can you get us the old library in Cool Spring Township as an early voting location? Yes, we go to work at doing that, and fortunately, we were able to land it for the county to do that kind of the early voting that happened at Cool Spring Library. So everything we do is at the behest, the request, the direction of the elected officials we work for, and we're proud to be able to do it.
All right, we've got Commissioner Attorney Shaw Friedman on the show. If you have a question, 219-362-0522, or you can email me at soundoff@967theeagle.com. Again, one of the things that I think a lot of people have wondered about is there was some debate. I know that I received some calls or texts from some pro-labor union things about one of the things that the county is doing. And the pushback for this is that, and Commissioner Haney, in fairness to him, said, we're essentially approving a law, or approving an ordinance rather, that the city of LaPorte already had, and it didn't work. Because, again, the city issues at the bank's development was that there were people paying people underneath the table, right?
Right.
And so the county went to another thing, and they essentially approved a similar languaged ordinance. Why did the county decide that?
Well, that's fair enough. I mean, fortunately, the county commissioners have had a great working relationship with organized labor. In fact, the county was one of the first in the state to adopt a responsible bidders ordinance back in 2013. The wage fraud ordinance is designed to give another civil remedy for the building commissioner. Incidentally, the building commissioner's on record. April 19th, he sent a letter to the county commissioners in support of the proposed wage fraud ordinance. He said, we can use the authority granted in the proposed ordinance, this is Mike Poland, to compel the release of requested documents on certain large commercial projects. He felt it would be helpful to ensure code compliance, public health and safety, as well as protect our constituents from fraudulent fly-by-night subcontractors that infiltrate their way into large construction projects. That's from Mike Poland. He's the building commissioner, and he's the one given the large responsibility in this ordinance with enforcement. And so I think the commissioners took a great deal of guidance from their building commissioners, said, look, this is going to be advantageous to have. If it is another tool in addition to the criminal code, which Prosecutor Lake used to go after the two subcontractors here in LaPorte, it's an additional tool. It can compel release of documents, which can help ensure that the fraud is minimized. But wage fraud hurts everybody. It's a big issue. It has continued to be a big issue. It frankly, it's been up to organized labor a lot of times to bring forward things that help advance overall public health and safety. I mean, when you think, I'll go ahead and make a bit of an advertisement, and I don't work for any labor union, but I got to tell you, Nate, you look back at all the whether it was the 8-hour day, the 40-hour work week, occupational safety health laws, Medicare, Social Security, organized labor was behind it. And so when we get our friends in organized labor saying, hey, this is something we'd like you to take a look at, we think that wage fraud hurts everyday employees, whether it's under the table, whether it's cash, whether it's things that's improper deductions that are taken, all of that hurts the average worker. And it was something that's been adopted in 12 other communities across northern Indiana, so there's nothing radical or new about this wage fraud ordinance. And as our building commissioner thinks, it will be an asset to have that on the books to help when it comes to compelling release of documents from certain subcontractors.
All right. Well, this is our last minute here. I'll give you our final word as we do of all of our guests. What do you want our listeners to know?
Just that we're there to serve. I mean, we're proud and pleased to serve as county attorneys for LaPorte County. We work strictly at the direction of the elected officials that we serve. We've got, and I will mention this too because I think it's important to know, LaPorte County has a rich tradition of bipartisanship in county government. There is a great history of folks reaching across the aisle to get things done. We work for elected officials, department heads, no matter what their party stripes. And frankly, county government is accomplishing a lot of good things. And with the commissioners that I work for and the county council that we work with very closely, I think some good things are happening, and happy to come on and talk about it periodically, particularly the legal implications of it, because there's a lot of legal implications that affect much of what goes on at the county commission meetings.
All right. I want to thank you so much for being on the show, and I want to thank you for listening. On Friday, we're going to have Brett Benversi to talk about what's happening at the city and things like that, summer stuff. If you have any questions for him, listen to the show. It's going to be great. Hey, I want to thank you so much for listening and participating in the conversations here. We will continue to have them as we go. We'll get back to some conversations about topics and everything without guests coming up as well, if that's what you like. Hey, be good to yourself, be good to others. Have a great week, and keep listening to 96.7 The Eagle.
Thank you for joining us and voicing your opinion on this edition of Sound Off. The views on Sound Off are those of the host or callers and do not represent the opinion of 96.7 The Eagle, Spoon River Media LLC, or the sponsors. Sound Off airs every Monday and Friday at 12:30. Please mark your calendar and join us again for the next edition of Sound Off on 96.7 The Eagle.
Hi, this is Chris Stapleton.
Hi, this is Kane Brown.
Hey, this is Luke Combs.
This is
Your home for country music variety is 96.